It's 8 a.m. Live, local. Your Fox 29 Morning News starts now.
While it looks like we won't see a big impact from Hurricane Irene here in South Florida, the storm season is far from over. We have learned from victims of some of the worst storms that having the right documents and information with you can make a huge difference in how well you weather the storm. Shari Olefson is a lawyer and author of The Great American Do-Over. She joins us this morning to let us know which financial papers you need to have ready in case a storm hits our area. Good morning, Shari.
Hi, John. How are you?
Very good. And you?
Great.
At least we've dodged a bullet this time around.
Kidding.
But, you know, the season's still young. What documents should you have with you in case there's a situation where you need to evacuate for a few days?
Well, and that's the situation we're used to seeing here. It's sort of a short-term situation. Right. And at a minimum, we know you may sustain damage to your home or utility outage. So at a minimum, you want to have a copy of your insurance policy, not just the account number and the phone number, but the actual policy. Because if you have damage to your home, you're going to want to be able to read that policy and see if it's covered. If you're renting, the same thing applies with your lease, because that will tell you if you're responsible or your landlord for the repairs. Likewise with the utility information, you want to have the phone number and the account number, because even though they can look it up by your property address, with the automated phone systems now, it's going to be much quicker if you can enter your account number and, of course, emergency contact information. The trick here is that we've become so accustomed to putting all of this in our iPhone or a BlackBerry.
Right.
Don't take it for granted that your iPhone will be working or that you'll have service, so have a hard copy.
Okay, that's a good idea. And that's short term we're talking about now. What happens if you're going to be displaced for a while? It gets into weeks, or the situation like Andrew, 19 years ago today, where people were just lost.
And we benefit so much from what those folks went through, the victims of Andrew and of Katrina. And the two things that we hear from them are, number one, the mail interruption was huge.
Right.
And likewise, if you needed to do a transaction during that period, you needed to have documentation. So as far as the mail goes, we're talking about any obligation or loan information that you pay by mail, any income like Social Security that you receive by mail. You want to have copies of those statements so you can immediately notify those folks that the mail is not getting to you and make other arrangements. Same thing with your assets and your accounts. If you need to have access to your money market account, for example, or your savings account, it's going to be helpful to have a copy of those statements with you. And as far as assets go, car registrations, home titles, all of those things, in case you need to sell a car or get a loan on your home, you're going to need to have that with you. Now, the other documents really relate to medical, financial, and legal. So as far as medical goes, you're going to want to have copies of health, life, disability insurance, and your health records. As far as the legal documents go, think family, marriage, estate planning, so anything that has to do with birth certificates, passports, naturalization documents, wills and trust and estate type documents.
That's a lot to keep track of.
It certainly is, but if you have it handy, it's going to make a big difference.
It's important stuff that you need to have, and keep it in a safe place. Okay, thank you again for good information and for being here today. Next week, Shari will be back with us, and she'll be talking about 3 real steals in real estate. Can't wait for that. Roxanne, back over to you.
All right, let's get a look at weather.